let's move on. Trump making some shocking comments where, before I play this clip for everyone, I've been thinking that one of the downsides of not having Trump on social media is we may actually have been missing out on pro-vaccine type messaging that Trump gave yesterday in an appearance with Bill O'Reilly, of all people. But he implored his audience there to actually take back the message of vaccines, saying the vaccine was a Trump invention, don't let them take it away from us. He revealed he himself had a booster shot, and even more so, he actually shushed people who were booing him for saying that he got a booster. He's like, look, you shouldn't be forced to take it, but I did, and this vaccine is a big, measure of our movement, so let's take a listen.
But look, we did something that was historic. We saved tens of millions of lives worldwide. We, together, all of us, not me, we got a vaccine done, 3 vaccines done, and tremendous therapeutics like Regeneron and other things that have saved a lot of lives. We got a vaccine done in less than 9 months that was supposed to take from 5 to 12 years. Because of that vaccine, millions and millions of people. I think this would have been the Spanish flu of 1917, where up to 100 million people died. This was going to ravage the country far beyond what it is right now. Take credit for it. Take credit for it. What we've done is historic. Don't let them take it away. Don't take it away from ourselves. You're playing right into their hands when you sort of like, oh, the vaccine. If you don't want to take it, you shouldn't be forced to take it. No mandates, but take credit because we saved tens of millions of lives. Take credit. Don't let them take that away from you.
Okay, so the president made news.
Do you agree with that?
Right? Both the president and I are vaxxed, and did you get the booster?
Yes.
I got it too. Okay, so...
Don't. That's all. There's a very tiny group over there.
See? Amazing. I don't know where this guy's been.
My heart watching that.
Yeah, me too. I mean, look, like I said, honestly, if he'd been on Twitter, maybe he could have been pushing that. I mean, it's not an exaggeration to say that message could actually save people's lives, especially the people who are older, more disproportionately obese, diabetic, whatever, who have not been vaccinated. Those are the people who are most likely to die from this thing. And actually, from what we've seen in the hospital data, those are mostly the people who are showing up. So to have that there, it was stunning, Krystal. Maybe the bar is low, I don't know. But watching that, I just thought that A, incredibly responsible and a good message.
Yeah.
And B, it actually, does show, and I don't think that I don't think people have given enough credit, and we certainly did, was that Operation Warp Speed was a fantastic achievement. It was a testament,
Truly,
actually, to what government can do in the best of
Yes.
times when you throw everything at the problem. You did a monologue, I think it was at Rising, detailing all the specifics of that thing. It was incredible what happened, and I think he deserves a tremendous amount of credit.
He's right to be proud of it.
Yeah.
And clearly, I mean, I think that's where this comes from, is he's like, don't take this away from me. Like, I did this thing, and it was good, and you all should be happy about that. The funny thing, there's a lot that's interesting here. I mean, number one, I think people have, because he hasn't said a lot recently about vaccines and go out and get the booster. He hasn't, gone out of his way to message in that way. People just sort of assumed that he was exactly where his base was.
Yeah, that's right.
Now the reality is, he says there when, there's some booing when he says, I got the booster. The reality is, if you look at the country, again, 85% of American adults have had at least one shot.
Yes.
So even among the Republican base,
yeah, that's most Republicans.
Majority has had a vaccine.
Right.
So he actually is in step.
Especially 65 plus,
yes,
to be clear.
That is very true. He actually is in step with the majority of the Republican base, just not the super vocal ones. So I think that's an important note. But people had projected on him this assumption that he was going to be in line with the most strident MAGA anti-vax type sentiment.
Right.
Even though there wasn't actually any evidence of that, he has not done all that he should and could have taken a lot more opportunities to push this message. But he's never called into question the efficacy of the vaccine, to my knowledge,
No,
I mean,
he's
you can
never
correct
asked.
me if
No,
I'm
no, no.
wrong.
Actually, remember, he was attacking Kamala Harris for
For
at the time
calling into
saying that
question.
she was calling into question the Trump FDA and the vaccine.
Well, and that's a really good point, because the other thing that I was thinking about here is the big lockdowns were under Trump.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, the vaccine is created under Trump. The big lockdowns happen under Trump. And so there's this disconnect between what Trump did, what clearly, based on, his comments there, and the fact that he himself is boosted, how he feels about the efficacy of the vaccine, and where the most strident members of the base are. There's actually a big divergence there, which I think is pretty interesting.
I think it's not only interesting, I think it's important. As so many people have said, just take that clip, cut it as an ad. The single best thing you could do for vaccine uptake in this country is probably play that on Fox News as an ad.
I honestly don't know
Yeah.
if it would matter that much. Because remember at the beginning, you don't want to put too much stock in these, anecdotal whatever, but there was a focus group where they asked people in red rural America who are very vaccine skeptical, what if Trump said that the vaccine is good and you should get it? They were like, we don't care. You know? They were like, no politician is going to persuade me.
Just 15% though would be a huge uptick, right? I mean,
yes.
Look, if you can get people to believe that Venezuelan Dominions stole an election,
you can get them to believe
you
that
can perhaps believe in the efficacy
getting
of
vaxxed to own the libs.
Yeah, I mean, look,
do it, guys.
If that's what it takes, I don't really care. I do think it's also, I don't know why the censorship argument is sticking in my head, but it is, which is that whenever removing Trump, look, on balance, personally, yeah, it's been kind of funny because it's like, oh, things feel a lot more calm, things have been in return. But this is some of the stuff we may have been missing out on. And I think it also, shows you that removing people has consequences, I think, in both directions. And that we have considered the people on Twitter and everybody in the liberal discourse had considered all of the good things from their perspective that might come from not having Trump or whatever in the public square. But what about this? I mean, we did empirically miss out on this. If he wasn't there tweeting every day about the vaccine efficacy and saying, actually, you guys should, I just got a booster. I mean, that's tremendously effective. People were very upset. You remember when Trump didn't reveal whether he'd gotten the vaccine or not. In the past, around before he left office, that was another one, which it would have been, I think, very impactful, especially at that time, to appear on camera or at least say, I got this vaccine, you all should too. He did it a few months later in one of his very first appearances. But I do think that the country did lose something by not having that message in the public, and I think it would have been tremendously important in the February and March months.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, the principle of it is the most important thing, because we can't know. I mean, who knows? Maybe him being on Twitter and seeing all that discourse would have made him, lean into more of a vaccine hesitant or anti-vax message. There's no way to know. But number one, sometimes it's important to actually see the rot.
Yes.
Like just burying it, pretending Trump, let's just ignore him and pretend he's gone away.
Yes.
I don't know that that's really ultimately going to be healthy, and good for the direction of society, number one. But look, number two, this is obviously a former president of the United States, incredibly significant, important figure, no matter what way you cut it. The standards that were applied to him haven't been applied consistently across the board, and those sorts of things ultimately really matter, even if, on balance, which I suspect is the case, we would have gotten a lot more bad out of Trump on Twitter than good.
Yeah, well, we'll never know.
We'll never know. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching.
That's right. Just as a reminder, you can become a premium subscriber today. Watch the full show completely uncut, our reactions to each other's monologues. You get to listen to it. You get to ask us questions, all that good stuff. Link is right there in the description or at breakingpoints.com.
Best of all, great way to say screw you to the mainstream media.